Can you use standard tuning to play modern metal? Let's find out. So what is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. My name is Ray. Yes, we're going to have a little bit of fun today, a little bit of a science experiment. Today we're going to be diving into standard tuning. Believe it or not, guys, you metalheads, once upon a time standard tuning was the only tuning used for all guitars, including metal. And then throughout the late 80s and early 90s, through the new metal side of things into present day, everybody just kept tuning lower and lower and lower, adding more strings, and standard tuning really isn't used that much in metal. Disclaimer, yes, I've heard of a band called Metallica. Yes, I've heard of a band called Pantera. Yes, I've heard of a band called Iron Maiden. I understand those bands use standard tuning, although early Pantera was really a quarter step down, but all kidding aside, I really understand how the classic heavy bands, metal bands, use standard tuning a lot, but they're really not using the styles and the techniques of the modern metal scene. Now, God forbid I use the D word, the djent word, but djent and standard tuning really don't mix, you know what I mean? And it seems like everybody, when I say everybody, modern guitar players are not using standard tuning anymore. I mean, is Metallica honestly even really metal? At this point in time, because everybody's just getting so heavier and heavier and more extreme, Metallica is kind of falling into the classic rock side of things, and that's fine, not taking away from the band. You guys know I love Metallica, everybody loves Metallica, but I think anybody with a little bit of cognitive rationale in their brain can understand what I'm saying, that Metallica really isn't modern metal, and that's fine. So for this video, I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to create a full-on, fleshed-out song using my Ernie Ball Music Man JP15 in standard tuning, and I wanted to see if I can create more of a metal, modern metal type of sound with a little bit of djent incorporated. After the song, we'll come back and we'll talk about what I did and can you use standard tuning in modern metal. So here's the song.
Alive,
Alright guys, so that is a song that I came up with using standard tuning for the guitars as well as the bass, and you can absolutely use standard tuning for modern metal to make it sound heavy. And honestly, I think what happened in the late 90s and early 2000s with bands like Limp Bizkit and Korn, it was just detuning and adding more strings seemed to be not necessarily a fad, but it certainly was a sign of the times, and is still lingering around today. And you know, it was not a crutch, but just, let's be honest, it is easier to play heavier, especially when you have lower strings and detunings. But just because you play in standard doesn't mean you can't be heavy. And so what I did personally for this song was use a lot of dissonant intervals, a lot of minor sevenths, major sevenths, minor seconds, just a lot of intervals to create that really like just eerie, broken kind of this isn't supposed to go together type of sound. And you can absolutely use standard tuning for modern metal. Now don't get it twisted, I absolutely love playing in drop B, that is my favorite tuning of all time, and drop A with a 7-string. But it's fun to have a little bit of a refresher and go back to the old standard tuning and seeing if you can create something different. Again, not taking away anything from anybody who loves those tunings or any bands who love those tunings. I love those tunings. But what I'm just trying to say, guys, is standard tuning, although it's not used that much anymore, it is certainly still relevant. It's certainly still relevant, in my opinion, for modern metal. And I would love to know what you guys think. Do you think modern metal and standard tuning mix, or do you really think anybody who plays in standard tuning anymore is only categorized in kind of the dad rock and the classic metal? I'd love to hear from you guys. And one last thing, I do want to say this, I do want to point this out before I forget. I do see a change in the way guitar players and virtuosos, for example, are playing and using the instrument. I'm seeing a lot of players going back to standard tuning and using only 6 strings for metal and prog rock and stuff like that. I mean, intervals is the perfect example. Single coil standard tuning sound. I really think that is kind of like the new norm for progressive rock and progressive metal, and I really think a lot of people are starting to get back into the whole theory side of things and really becoming a master of the instrument and not just playing root 5th power chords and having breakdowns. Again, nothing wrong with that genre of music, but I just wanted to point that out. I really see a lot of players becoming absolutely killer players and are really becoming masters of the instrument again, and I think that went away after the 80s. So guys, I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about standard tuning in modern metal? Can you use it, or is it irrelevant? Leave all your thoughts down below. A huge thank you to my patrons for supporting this channel and continuing to support what I do. It means the world to me. And for you that just clicked on this video, thank you for clicking on this video. It means the world to me. I'm out of here, guys. Stay metal, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.